It works on your machine. It fails on theirs. Same code, same command. Your pipe reject says rich greater than or equal to 15. You installed it in March and got 15.0. Your colleague clones the repo in June, when 16 is out, and gets 16. Same file, two different sets of packages. So, what stops the drift? Welcome back. This chapter is about the file that makes two machines identical, and about the one UV behavior that genuinely startles people coming from pip. Start by separating two words that get used interchangeably and mean different things. Locking is deciding. Given your requirements, UV works out one exact set of versions that satisfies all of them, then writes the decision down. Syncing is doing. UV reads that decision and makes your folder match it. Two separate jobs, and keeping the two apart is what makes the whole arrangement reliable. You'll almost never type uv.lock yourself, though, because every command that touches your environment locks first. Adding a package locks. Running your code locks. Syncing locks. So the file stays correct without anybody maintaining anything, which is rather the point of the design. Open the file, because there's a field in it doing more work than you'd expect. Here's a real entry. A name, a version, where the package came from, and then a hash, SHA-256, followed by 64 characters. The hash isn't decoration. A version number tells you which release arrived. A hash tells you which exact bytes arrived. Those are genuinely different promises. Why does the difference matter? Because a version number can in principle be re-uploaded, and because any download can be corrupted or intercepted on the way. A hash catches both problems. If the bytes arriving don't match the recorded hash, UV refuses to install rather than hoping for the best. The lock file is also universal, which is a genuinely unusual property. One file covers every platform, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, several Python versions, so a colleague on a different operating system resolves from your file rather than needing one of their own. And now the behavior that surprises everybody who arrives from pip. I installed Typer behind UV's back, using the pip interface. Then I ran a plain UV sync. Watch what happened. UV uninstalled 3 packages nobody asked it to touch. Not a bug. Sync is exact by default, and exact means the folder must match the lock file, with nothing extra sitting alongside. Which sounds alarming, and is precisely the point. If UV left extras alone, your environment would slowly fill with packages nobody ever recorded, and sooner or later one such package would be the reason something broke. Exact means the folder always tells the truth about the file. 3 flags matter on a build machine. Locked fails if the lock file is out of date, which is exactly what you want in continuous integration. A refusal beats a helpful silent update. Frozen uses the file as it stands and never re-resolves. And no sync locks without touching your environment at all. One more thing's worth knowing, because it surprises people in the opposite direction. New releases are ignored until you explicitly ask for them. A newer rich comes out, and nothing happens, no automatic upgrade, no quiet drift. You ask, or the version stays exactly where it is. A fair question at this point. When does the lock file actually go stale? The answer's narrower than most people expect. Changing a requirement so the locked version no longer qualifies makes it stale. Loosening a constraint that still allows the locked version does not, because the recorded answer is still a valid one. It's also worth saying plainly what the lock file is not. Nobody edits the file by hand. uv.lock is generated, regenerated constantly, and any hand edit gets overwritten by the next command you run. Treat the file as output, read it, review it in a pull request, and never type into it. And the diff is genuinely useful in review, because uv.lock is text, and every entry carries a version and a hash. A pull request bumping one dependency shows exactly which packages moved and which stayed put, considerably better than trusting a summary line in a commit message. Quick check. You pip install something into a UV project, then run UV sync. What happens to that package? Pause the video here and decide before I say anything. Ready? UV removes it because sync is exact and the package is not in the lock file. So commit the lock file. That one file turns works on my machine into works everywhere. It's plain text so a code review can actually read it, and it costs you nothing at all because UV keeps the file correct on your behalf. So, to recap, locking decides one exact set of versions and writes them down with their hashes. Syncing makes your folder match, exactly, removing anything that isn't recorded. And nothing upgrades until you explicitly ask for it. Next chapter. What happens when two packages want versions that cannot both be true, and how UV explains its own refusal in plain English.